Chapter 391, The Great Seafarer Roselle. I know that. Audrey's eyes were half-turned, and her chin was slightly raised. She happily cast her gaze diagonally across her, towards a stone pillar that supported the dome. She quickly withdrew her gaze, ready to admire the reaction of Mr. Hanged Man after he heard the answer. Force vaguely realized one thing. The so-called Roselle's diary can be exchanged with Mr. Fool for answers to certain questions, and maybe even some items. Roselle's diary? Is it referring to the notes that are written with Roselle's unique symbols that no one can interpret? They were actually diary entries. Mr. Hanged Man's tone sounded very firm, and Mr. Fool didn't retort him. I've encountered many, but I've never bought any of them because I wasn't interested. Ah, yes, Miss Audrey has quite a few. She's a fanatic when it comes to this. But that dog of hers. Maybe last week, I don't remember it too well. Basically, it tore up many books and notes, including all of the diary entries from Emperor Roselle. The sudden surprise and disappointment that emerged had filled her heart and made her want to raise her hands, cover her ears, and scream. That wasn't enough to express her current feelings. I hate dogs. Force bitterly thought. The Hanged Man's request was somewhat beyond Klein's expectations. However, it was the easiest for him to complete. He chuckled and said, "Sure. Do you want everyone to hear it, or do you want to be the only one to know it?" Alger replied without hesitation, "Only myself." He didn't have the spirit of selfless devotion to others. Klein laughed and blocked the senses of the other members, which made Miss Justice very upset. She was waiting to see Mr. Hanged Man's stunned and shocked expression, as though she had done something great herself. Although she couldn't proclaim it out loud, she still looked forward to the subsequent reaction after Mr. Hanged Man knew the answer. But now, that detestable Hanged Man has deprived me of this happiness. Audrey grumbled inwardly. Of course, she was very clear that his request was absolutely justified. But I already know the answer. She pursed her lips in thought. At this moment, Klein leisurely flipped over the card of blasphemy and held it vertically, allowing the Hanged Man to directly see the black-armored, crowned, and caped Roselle. It was common to see the portrait of Emperor Roselle, so Alger recognized him immediately. More importantly, there was a clear sign on the card saying, Sequence 0, Black Emperor. Indeed, it's the rumored deck of cards which contains the paths of the divine made by Emperor Roselle. It's the original prototype of tarot cards. Sequence 0, Black Emperor. Is this the lawyer pathway to becoming divine? Mr. Fool has been collecting Roselle's diary all this time, apparently in order to find clues to this deck of cards, and in a matter of months, he has already acquired one. Alger was surprised and delighted, as well as excited and agitated. All of a sudden, he inexplicably felt that the future of the Tarot Club was incomparably bright. Previously, he had only been intimidated by the mysteriousness and potency of Mr. Fool, and he had only held the notion of using the Tarot Club to exchange information and goods. But now, he began to think of the advantages that he and the other members could reap when Mr. Fool managed to collect all of Emperor Roselle's cards. At that time, the Tarot Club might become the most powerful secret organization. Alger couldn't help but look forward to the future. Then Klein said slowly, "A card of blasphemy." He then immediately removed the isolation barrier. As soon as she regained her senses, Justice Audrey immediately turned her gaze towards the Hanged Man. Through the blurred image, she could vaguely read the remaining shock, joy, and yearning from the other party. That's more like it. Audrey was immediately greatly satisfied. A card of blasphemy. Indeed, it's related to the blasphemy slate. Alger bowed his head in thought for a few seconds and began to conjure the 3 pages of Roselle's diary. Soon, the 3 yellowish-brown goatskin parchments were in Klein's hands. He casually lowered his gaze and started reading at a moderate pace. 15th March. I really am the protagonist. With just some archaeological clues and folklore, I found a ghost ship left behind by the Solomon Empire in the Fog Sea's boundary at the Aurek Archipelago, the Dark King. It's really cool. There are some ancient books on it, including a treasure map pointing to some nameless island. That's the final settlement of a great noble of the Solomon Empire who was defeated and left the northern continent. Everything that he left behind is there. This treasure will definitely belong to me. 19th March. After much deliberation and consideration, I've finally decided to set out on a long voyage. After that, I'll enter the Royal Army as an officer, so it will be hard for me to have an opportunity such as this again. Edwards and Grimm are willing to take the risk and follow me into that foggy sea. Actually, I don't just want the treasures. I also wanted to verify something, from the sun, the red moon, to the trajectory of the stars in the sky, as well as the changes in 4 seasons, all sorts of signs and different data to prove that the world I'm on should be a planet. In that case, it shouldn't only be the northern and southern continents. Based on the various data, the land mass occupied by the 2 continents totaled up isn't even a tenth of the planet's surface area. Could the rest of it be the sea and islands? To the west of the northern and southern continent is the Fog Sea, to the east is the Sanya Sea. I suspect that there are other continents at the end of these 2 seas, just like how the southern continent is at the end of the Berserk Sea. Maybe I can find a brand new continent, the Western Continent. Let's go, great seafarer Roselle Columbus Magellan Gustav. Go and verify your conjecture. The Emperor sure was reckless when he was young. He actually dared to go on a voyage just because he received a treasure map that he had no clue about its authenticity or if it held any danger. No, he's as rash as he was when he was young, even in his old age. The cards of blasphemy are evidence of this. Klein couldn't help but lampoon. The diary entry seems to be linked to a page or 2 that he had seen before, separated by at most 1 or 2 other diary entries, so Klein was almost certain that Roselle had lost his way in this voyage and ended up finding a primitive island just outside of the safe sea routes. On it, there were a number of beyonder creatures. In the process, he had also teased Grimm and Edwards, who were following him to sea, using the memes of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and the Pirate King. In addition, Grimm, who had been praised by Roselle as the smartest of them all, became increasingly stranger after discovering the primitive island, and he ended up dying in the Fog Sea. Speaking of which, the idea that the world is a planet is now widely accepted and confirmed by astronomy. Klein turned to the second page of the diary. 18th April, I discovered the term Western Continent in an ancient book on the Dark King. There really is a Western Continent. However, even during the 4th epoch in the Solomon Empire, when the gods were still walking the lands, the Western Continent was only a rumor. Legend has it that it was the homeland of the elves, and it was related to the ancient god named Soniathrim. The problem with that is that the elves ended up on Sanya Island, and later scattered themselves over the mountains and the numerous islands in the seas, and there is no legend that they have ever tried to return to their homeland. In short, the end of the Fog Sea might be the Western Continent, the homeland of the elves. Then, what's at the end of the Sanya Sea? Is there really an Eastern Continent? Where is it hidden in the books of myths? Could it be the ethereal, forsaken land of God? Proceed onward, Roselle. You're about to reach your destination. The Western Continent, the Eastern Continent. Roselle guessed that the latter might be the forsaken land of God. Yes, Mr. Hanged Man once said that many members of the Aurora Order were searching the Sanya Sea for the true Creator's holy residence, and he suspects that the holy residence is the forsaken land of God. This is in line with Emperor Roselle's thoughts. This world has many secrets. Klein lowered his gaze towards the last few paragraphs of the page. 20th April. All signs indicate that we're about to reach a continent, not the land from an island. There's actually a benefit to being lost. Could it be that I've discovered the so-called Western Continent? 21st April, I saw the abyss. Abyss? Did Roselle see the abyss? The abyss in the sense of mysticism. Klein's pupils shrank as he quickly turned the page. But the 3rd page of his diary made him doubt his life and his many years of Chinese education. It was filled with the following sentences. Ah, fuck hungry please people in manner. This. Klein realized that this was probably a subsequent forgery of Roselle's diary entries. They had randomly pieced together a bunch of sentences based on the original symbols. At this moment, Klein felt like he was seeing intelligible characters and had the urge to curse those forgers. He wanted to know if the abyss mentioned in Roselle's diary was the abyss to which the terms source of evil, land of corruption, and home of devils referred to. The true abyss is the dark side of the universe where even gods can be corroded. It should be independent from the real world, just like the spirit world. At the very least, this is what the Book of Secrets and the books which I came into contact with during my time with the Nighthawks say. If it's not the true abyss, then what did the Emperor mean by abyss? Klein thought about it over and over again, but was unable to come up with an explanation. He felt extremely dissatisfied, just like when a novel was dropped by the author at the most critical moment. With a single glance, he calmed down and let the diary entries disappear from his hands. "You can begin." Sitting at the head of the long bronze table, he chuckled. Alger turned his head immediately towards the sun, asking indifferently, "Have you gotten anything from the former captain of that exploratory team?"